Welcome back to the Saturday Showcase presented by 5 Hour Energy. Utah State on the road tonight, up 13 at the break. They did lead Boise State by as many as 19 in that first half, and Utah State's going to get the basketball first to start this second half of play.
I could guarantee you, Coach Leon Rice, talking to his team in the locker room, talked a lot about rebounding the basketball, doing a better job at that. Also ball control, making sure that they're not turning over the basketball, and then also tighter D in the half court, because Utah State has been doing whatever they want, cutting to the basket, getting opportunities to get into the paint. Great off-the-ball movement, so they got to take care of that for sure on the defensive end.
So here's some trends so far. Utah State, they've out-rebounded Boise State 23-10. They almost have as many offensive rebounds, 9 to total rebounds for Boise State. Utah State has had some foul trouble. 5 players have 2 apiece, and Keita was quiet in that first half.
Well, Keita played under 10 minutes, and so now they get Keita back. He had 2 points, 4 boards. And Boise State's kind of fortunate. Utah State took 15 threes, only made 4 of them. That's a very low percentage, but if Utah State can keep executing the way Boise State needs to stop that execution, they're going to be okay.
George just picked up the foul for an 8th turnover for Boise State. Their 7 first-half turnovers led to 10 points for Utah State. And Utah State defensively taking a page out of the Aztecs defensive playbook a week ago down in San Diego, holding both Alston and Jessup here. The Aztecs held Alston and Jessup to 6 of 21 shooting and easily won that game, and it's sort of been the same thing here today.
Well, you're right. Yeah, you add up their numbers. They all have 9 points. I mean, they're good for 33, 34 a game.
Jessup has made just 1 shot in the game. He's 1 of 4. Alston's 1 of 5. But now, perhaps, the shots will start falling, and that time it's Abu Kijab from Ontario, Canada, the Oregon transfer. Scored 20 at Air Force midweek, had a season-high 33 against CSUN out of the Big West.
Look at Kijab forcing the steal after the 3-point shot.
So a spirited start for Boise State here, and they're back within 10. Remember, they were down 19 before closing that first half on a 6-0 run. See what adjustments Leon Rice has made. His son Max with a big clutch 3 to help in that run off the bench late in that first half. Alston to Dickinson, playing with a strained quad, little jump step, and sending it back is Nimi Keita.
Well, you can see why he was the Conference Player of the Year a year ago. Defensive Player of the Year. And he can do this with either hand. You can't teach size, and you also can't teach the timing on block shots. Doesn't matter how big you are, you have to be able to time up that shot to block it.
Goes all Elvis Presley on him. Return to sender. Alston misses. That was the 91st career block for Nimi Keita, but just his 7th of the season. But that one could have been worth 10 in my book, for goodness sakes.
Yeah. Well, you see, when you have a rim protector like that in Nimi Keita, and last year he was averaging about 2.5 blocks a game. This year, 1 block a game as he's trying to get back into the flow.
Yep.
But it's not just about the fact that he blocks shots. How many different players does he stop from going inside to score? That's what you call a rim protector.
Yep. Alters shots, keeps guys from going in there in the first place. Just his 8th game of the season, he missed 12 total games with a knee injury. And a lot of times you're coming back from knee injury, it's all about confidence, right? Just trying to get it back. The knee might be 100% healthy, but your confidence might not be. Key jab. Jessup will take it. Yep. Took it over Bean, but an offensive rebound for George. Now Boise State takes a page out of the Utah State first half playbook. And George underneath after Keita got a piece of that and knocked it loose. 11-0 run.
Boise State needs more of that. Somebody catching the ball in the lane with their back to the basket or on the block and scoring. I think that'll balance them offensively.
Porter looking for the first points of the second half for Utah State. Bean can't stick the second chance opportunity. Oh, they can get more here. Alston on the run out. Keita with a foul, his 3rd.
Great transition by Boise State, and Alston, the score to the basket. Keita, who just blocked somebody into the stands, goes up, and they called a foul there. Let's see. Let's look at the foul. So I think it was because with his left hand, he used his hand to kind of push, whereas his right hand, I think he might have got a piece of that basketball.
The third on Cada. The run stays at 11-0. 5-0 to start the second half, 6-0 to end the first half. And Cada has played 13 minutes. 2 points. He's only taken one shot. Alston makes the second. So now it's a 12-0 run. And we got game on here. It's a 7-point game.
Utah State's got to get a bucket.
The crowded Extra Mile Arena starting to get juiced and excited. Here's Miller. Great pass to Cada, and count it. He's fouled in the process.
So much of basketball is positioning. Watch Cada right now. It's a good handoff. He hands it off, and he just positions himself in a place where he's got two hands ready to catch the basketball. Then it comes down to skill development. And your skill development sessions, your upper body strength to be able to finish that up around the rim in traffic.
Second on Jessup. Those were the first points of the second half for Utah State. And right there is Miller off the missed free throw. So they run off 4 in a row, perhaps to deflate a little of the energy in the building. That couldn't have gone any better for the Aggies on the road here tonight. Jessup puts it on the floor against Merrill, drives with the left hand and scores it.
Dangerous. Remember in preseason, Coach Leon Rice was talking like he thought Jessup would be a Player of the Year candidate. And honestly, I'm not so sure he isn't.
Yeah.
I mean, he's 17 points a game in conference play.
He's in a little one of these shooting funks right now. The threes aren't falling for him. That's just his second made field goal. But, well, he rarely comes off the floor 36 minutes a game. So a kid like Jessup can spark a Boise State rally here in the second half.
Well, he's the best three-point shooter of all time in Boise State history. And as you can see, he can drive to the basket. He's aggressive to the rim. He can absorb contact, and he can finish.
This is a great day of college basketball.
2 quality conferences.
Oh, my goodness.
That's outstanding.
Filthy. This is the Big 12 SEC Challenge.
That's happening later this month. It was a crazy day for top 10 teams in college basketball, and it may benefit the Mountain West Conference.
Yeah, you just talk about the SEC Conference. How about Auburn was undefeated right there neck and neck with San Diego State as the final two undefeated. They lost today to Florida by 22 points. They've lost 2 straight now. They were the number 4 team in the country. Duke in the ACC lost to Louisville. They were the number 3 team in the conference. Butler, number 5. They lost to DePaul today. So, yeah, San Diego State's still undefeated and have an opportunity at number 7 in the country to crack that top 5 from the Mountain West Conference.
It'll be Utah State basketball. Aggies with a 9-point lead. Cada still back in there right now. We were showing you Tim Duryea a moment ago, and that's Utah State's last head coach before Craig Smith replaced him 2 years ago. And Duryea took over in the second half on Wednesday at Air Force when Leon Rice was ejected for the first time in his career. And Cada cleans up the missed shot.
Now, Tim Duryea spent a lot of time in Utah State. A lot of people in Logan very fond of him. 14 years as an assistant coach, 3 years as the head coach, and still in the Mountain West Conference and a pretty good program in Boise State.
Recruited a lot of these guys he's going against. Alston, the offensive rebound and the putback. The energy picking up in the building now. It's a 9-point game. Merrill's been awfully quiet, stuck on 12 points. He has not scored here in the first 5 minutes of the second half. Neither has Bean. It's out of bounds and sticking with Utah State. So whatever adjustments Tim Duryea, Mike Burns, and Leon Rice made so far have come to fruition here in the opening 5 minutes.
You are seeing a little bit more of a sense of urgency by Boise State defensively. They're getting out in the passing lanes. They're making it difficult on the Utah State ball screens.
Merrill's going to take the deep three and hit it over Dickinson. First points of the second half for Merrill. He's got 15.
Man, he can play. He had battled some ankle injuries over the last few weeks. That week off, the bye week that they've had since they played last Saturday, has done him well. He looks spectacular.
As we mentioned earlier, started the year on the Wooden watch list, but not on the midseason top 25 Wooden watch list. Malachi Flynn out of the conference is on there now. They won today to go to 19-0. And that's going to be Boise State basketball.
Now, the preseason player of the year won it last year. You see, he just takes a couple dribbles. He can stop on a dime and knock it down a shot. We've seen at least 3 of those tonight where he shot off the dribble and knocked it home.
First ever Aggie with 1,800 points, 400 career assists, and 100 career steals. What a career. George left open the rainbow three, and the kid from Germany missed it. That would have electrified this building. Instead, now they're trying to chip away again at a double-digit lead, or a double-digit deficit, rather.
Trying to get the ball back to Merrill. See, that's called floppy right there. A single double screen for Merrill. And as Dickinson tries to guard the handoff fouls. But what you do with a guy like Sam Merrill that can shoot the basketball, you put his head under the basket, guy at the top of the key with the ball, and there's a double screen on one side and a single on the other. Merrill comes off, I think that was the double side for the handoff, and Dickinson fouls. Dickinson's having a hard time with Merrill. Merrill's making plays. He's 6'5", 6'6". Marcus Dickinson, 6', 6'1". So it's another reason why I think Sam Merrill's able to get that last shot off, because Dickinson's a little bit smaller and he can shoot over him.
And he's a little banged up. A strained quad had limited him to 15 total minutes in the last 3 games. He goes to the bench with his 3rd personal. We get a look now at Ray J. Dennis, who's into the ball game. Saw him a little bit in the first half, and a takeaway there by R.J. Williams. Dennis has played much more of the point with Dickinson going down. Alston misses. Williams tried to get the offensive rebound. Merrill, and Jessup tried to steal it, and it's going to go off of Merrill, they say. Great defensive effort there by Jessup.
Coach Leon Rice is fired up on the sideline, and we kept talking about Dickinson, right? A little bit smaller guarding Sam Merrill. He came out of the game. They put Jessup on him. Jessup's about an inch or 2 taller than Sam Merrill, so Sam Merrill having a little hard time shaking free, and then Jessup gets a piece of that basketball and forces the turnover.
Dennis dribbles into double coverage, but it leaves R.J. Williams open, and he scores it, and he's fouled. How about that sequence, partner?
Look how tough and strong he is. You're right, the double team left him wide open for the layup, and he's so strong he can finish, but you have to fault a little bit Utah State. Where is the help side defense? I think that was either Justin Bean or Brito that was out of place. Either one of those guys could have had 2 feet in the paint and prevented that layup from taking place in the first place.
That's the 3rd on Dorius, so another big. He joins Keita, and the crowd gets into it. They're back under double digits. Merrill against Jessup into the paint, and gets to them. Oh, he's so good, huh? He's so good.
Man, he can score anyway. Not only that, he's almost 2.5 to 1 from his assist-to-turnover ratio. He just makes plays.
Key-Jab took an extra step, and that's a big turnover right there. Empty possession for the Broncos.
Watch Sam Merrill just use his upper body strength to bully his way in. He's got 2 players around him. Looks like he's going to slide dribble and turns around and does a spin move. And he's smooth, man.
He wants to play his way back on that Wooden watch list. You can do that. Malachi Flynn of San Diego State played his way onto it, and hey, I don't think anyone in the Mountain West Conference would complain if you had 2 guys on it next time we check.
Well, think about it. If Sam Merrill had been healthy the last 2-3 weeks, and same with Keita, they'd have 2 guys anyway.
Brito got an open look, and a foul will be called. It looked like it was Key-Jab going up over the back there.
But you see who's getting the ball? Justin Bean.
Yeah.
One of the toughest kids ever. He broke his nose early in practice in the preseason. Against Montana State, he got a couple teeth knocked out. They had to give him oral surgery at 1 in the morning. to get his teeth fixed back up. He wears braces now as a result. He's just tough.
And he's playing with an ankle issue, too. He's starting to round back into shape. He didn't play much against Nevada. He picked up 3 quick fouls, so he's excited to be on the floor a little bit longer than he did against Nevada last time out. Inside of 10 to shoot. Merrill barking out instructions. 5 to shoot. Merrill against Alston. Kick, left side, Brito, 3, in and out. And an important rebound there by Dennis. In transition back the other way.
Oh, nice move.
Yep. Dennis kick out. Alston over Bean, short, and a foul. Now, this might be on Alfonso Anderson, and it is. Alfonso 11. Sam Merrill has Utah State out to a 49-38 lead here in the second half.
He's 17 points, 7 of 12 from the field. He's doing it by getting to the basket, pull up mid-range shots, bullying his way to the rim, and of course knocking down three-pointers. That's what Sam Merrill does. He is an outstanding player, tremendous scorer. Such an underrated defensive player we don't talk enough about, but look at those numbers. As a matter of fact, he has over 1,800 points in his career, over 400 assists in his career, and 100 steals. And I bet you is making his wife, Kenyon Ward, the former Utah State soccer player, very proud tonight.
6th all-time leading scorer at Utah State. He's 17 points now from catching the great Cornell Green for 5th place. J.C. Carroll, the all-time leading scorer at 2,522 at Utah State. They got some good scores in that state, huh? Whether it's over at BYU with Fredette. Alston misses, tried to follow his own shot, and of course Bean gets the rebound.
Well, Alston took a deep three-point shot. You got to credit Utah State's defense for getting them out there so far.
And count it.
And these are the kind of things that will drive you nuts if you're Leon Rice and coaching staff. You take a long three-point shot, and then you allow the offense to get all the way into the paint, about 3 feet away from the basket. You want to try to stop them. See how they let him drive middle?
Yep.
You want to make him drive to the sideline, and if nothing else, make him drive baseline. That's where your help side rotation is. You let somebody drive middle, you're in a world of trouble.
That was only the second made field goal of the game by Abel Porter. Lead balloons back up to 13, where it was at half. Alston to Hobbs. Jessup with Merrill, and the floater in the lane. He's going to get the friendly bounce.
Boise State's going to have to lock down defensively. You want Utah State to take three-pointers, but you want them to be contested threes at the end of the shot clock.
Porter drives in. No call that time. Ball is loose. Here's Hobbs. Boise State can beat you in transition. They got numbers coming back. And a foul. Hitting the deck hard there, Brito and R.J. Williams.
R.J. Williams went down hard.
Boy, you didn't need that in transition here.
There he is. He's not paying any attention, and he just bumps right into Brito. Brito just sitting there waiting for it. Watch him. 24. That's good stuff right there.
Yeah, talk about a rally killer, though, huh?
It totally was. Great defensive positioning by Utah State and Brito.
They had a chance at a transition bucket and to get it under double digits again. Instead, Williams, offensive foul off the ball. Here's Anderson playing with 3 personals and another foul called. This time they're going to get Jessup just grabbing Merrill. That's the only thing he can do here to not try and get the senior for Utah State loose. Got to do something to corral him, huh?
I mean, it's kind of a conundrum. So what some teams will do at this point in time, you're down 10, 11 points, about 10 minutes to go. You know, you might be out in the passing lanes. You want to pressure because you want to get steals and force turnovers and deflections, right? The other thing you can do is, hey, they're beating us to the basket because we're doing that. They're making angles to the rim as a result of us being out in the passing lanes. Maybe we can pack it in and make them take contested threes outside. But the problem is, Utah State's knocking some of those threes down.
And now they're going to get to go to the free throw line here after the 7th team foul. And this is one of the better teams getting to the line in the conference. They're 76% from the free throw line. They're 3rd in the NCAA in made free throws with 326 coming in. George, and a kick there by Keita. It shows you his flexibility there.
Yeah, he almost did the splits.
It's like a soccer goalie there. I know he's from Portugal.
I think he did gymnastics before he played basketball.
Let's put him in the net for Porto.
You talked to Craig Smith about that.
Boise State needs a bucket here. Down 13, they get it into Alston, the leading scorer in the conference. Now
that should be goaltending. That should count.
That's what Boise State wants.
That should count.
Not sure whether they're going to get it.
That absolutely should count. That was on the way down. That's the rule. Once it reaches its peak and it's on its way down, that was on the way down going towards the basket. Boise State has a reason to be upset.
Foul Burrito.
That's absolutely 2 points.
This should be a chance at a three-point play right here, but it's not. Alston's going to have to do it the hard way.
You know, it's easier for us when we're just looking at the shot. When a shot goes up, the officials aren't supposed to be looking at the shot. Right. They're supposed to be looking for fouls and whatever else underneath the basket.
Here's Alston, a preseason all-conference selection. Played the 4 to start the year for Leon Rice's team until Abu Kijab became eligible and has moved to the 2 now for the last 10 games. And just is struggling tonight shooting. And maybe this is something that could kickstart a shooter here, right? He's 2 for 10. He has 10 points. But 5 of those 10 have come at the free throw line. And he misses the second.
He's been short on a lot of shots. And somebody could say, well, he's thin, you know, he doesn't have the upper body or the lower body strength, but it's not always the case. A lot of times you're just getting your knees bent, or sometimes you're fatigued. He's a heck of a scorer. Scored 32 points against Portland earlier this year.
Yep, 20 or more points in 11 of the Broncos' first 19 games. Keita with a mid-range jumper.
And it's good to see Keita do that. That was one of the knocks against him. Not knocks, but things that NBA scouts he needed to improve upon. Get himself a consistent mid-range shot.
He's 4 for 4, Richie, with 8 points. Jessup with a left hand. George, the offensive rebound, and a foul.
Don't think he always had. I mean, he could shoot outside a little bit, but I think it needed to get more consistent, and I think he needed to extend his range. In this case, he reverse pivoted, stared down George, realized George had his hand down. He releases the ball. When you're 7 feet tall, you know you're going to release that pretty high up in the air.
Cut that one up for the NBA resume tag.
Yeah.
We went into the season thinking this kid could play his way into a lottery pick, but had the injury of his knee playing for the Portuguese team over the summer. Bulked up about 20 pounds.
Yeah.
Some think that maybe that's part of the reason why he doesn't have as many blocks, trying to adjust to the addition of 20 pounds on the frame. George backing in on him. George too hard, but that's just as good as a block, huh?
Exactly, yes. George got rid of that ball so quickly because he was worried about getting blocked.
Porter to the high post to Bean. Merrill leaves it for Keita. They'll eat some clock here. Here's Miller driving in. The floater right of the lane. Missed it. Jessup the rebound. Down 14 inside of 9 minutes to go. Time running out for the Broncos. Hobbs puts it into another gear, and Bean fouls him.
Well, here's that defense by Nimi Keita that we were just talking about. He's up on George. Now, they're only about 1 inch difference in size. But you see George kind of fading away from the basket, not going into the defense, trying to get as far away as possible as he can from the great shot blocker, Keita. And I just think he kind of hot potatoed it. You know, hot stoved it, rather.
I agree.
In the sense that, you know, you touch a hot stove, you release your hand real quick. And that's what he did, trying to get rid of the basketball so he wouldn't get blocked.
2 very tall European players going one-on-one on that play. George from Germany, Keita from Portugal. And Keita's just getting more practice time now. And that's the thing, right? With a knee injury, then he knocked knees in the Florida game. He had to sit out a couple of games after that.
Yeah, if he hadn't knocked knee to knee in Florida,
he'd be in mid-season form.
And right now he's like in beginning of the season shape. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like he didn't do a whole lot.
Weekend shape, right?
Exactly.
Merrill! Holy moly. That's a deep 2. 19 for Sam Merrill.
I don't know. He's going to get back into that player of the year talk if he starts playing like this again.
Back up to a 15-point lead for the Utah State Aggies. Jessup finds a shot. Came up short again. Wow, these guys are really in a shooting funk for Boise State.
And they're getting pretty good shots. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But a lot of their shots are coming from away from the basket. And I just like to see, I'm a big fan. Every coach has their own style. That's cool. Boise State has had a lot of success, so I'm not saying what's right or wrong, but I'm just saying I would love to see George and some other players get their ball, their back to the basket a little bit more, just to kind of balance out the floor offensively and make it a little bit harder on the defense.
George fouls Keita there. Nobody's been able to stop Sam Merrill. 22 points in this one on 8 of 13 shooting. Utah State with a 15-point lead, 7:33 to go in regulation. Our big Monday matchup at 9 Eastern on ESPN or the ESPN app is Oklahoma and Waco to take on number 2 Baylor. The Bears have gotten the better of the Sooners the last 3 meetings and 5 of the last 6. That's Monday night, 9 Eastern on ESPN. Here, Utah State's 3-3 to start the year. They started the night in 6th place in the conference, and there's a lot of conference teams kind of rooting for Utah State to win out the rest of the year. I can think of 2, St. Mary's and San Diego State, right, who've already beaten Utah State, and at that time, that was a quad 1 win for their resume. It isn't anymore.
And, you know, that's an interesting point. You know, Utah State preseason ranked 1st. San Diego State, I think, was number 2. New Mexico, number 3. And I think New Mexico has just lost a couple straight now after the losses of 2 starters on that team. UNLV has been a surprise for a lot of people. Nevada has been played well at times this season. I'm sure I'm leaving somebody out. But I think that there is a path for Utah State, if they're playing especially like they are right now the rest of the season, to be there in contention with San Diego State or right behind them in 2nd place come conference tournament time.
This Utah State team has already beaten 2 SEC teams this year. They beat LSU, they beat Florida, lost to BYU, lost to St. Mary's. So even BYU's kind of pulling here the rest of the way out for Utah State. One of their Beehive State rivals. Here's Jessup. And even to some extent LSU and Florida, right? Because that doesn't look like a bad loss when it's all said and done. If this team can win, say, 22, 23, 24 games.
And in that St. Mary's game, I worked that game. They were missing their starter, Kravovsky.
Yep. And Keita. Well, actually, Keita played a. Did he play? No, he was out that game. You're right. I remember watching you and the play-by-play guy. You were dynamic on that game.
I mean, would you expect anything less?
But yeah, that was part of the deal with this team. Is at the beginning of the year they got off to a 7-0 start. Some people said, "Well, is it chemistry now that you're trying to work Keita back in?"
I think that has something to do with that 3-game losing streak, honestly, and they weren't playing great. See, that 3-game losing streak, they played small ball a lot. They played a lot smaller. Alfonso Anderson was playing the 5 spot at times at 6'6". They also were a little beat up. You talked about Justin Bean's ankle issues. You talked about Sam Merrill's ankle issues. They weren't at their best. They're looking a lot better now after having a little bit of rest. But like we said before, they were out-rebounded, about 12 rebounds a game in each of those games. So that's the key, obviously, to Utah State. Rebound the basketball. And that's what they say, points win games, defense wins championships, as well as rebounding.
17-point advantage. If they win today, we're sitting here in the middle of January, they'll be 4-3 in the conference and still 3.5 games behind league-leading San Diego State, who got to 19-0 today with a win over Nevada. That's 1 win away from matching what Kawhi Leonard and company did during the 2010-2011 season.
Well, they started out 20-0. A few years later, San Diego State had Xavier Thames. I think they lost their first couple games. Then they went on a 20-game win streak. Both those teams for the Aztecs went to the Sweet 16.
Brian Dutcher's team, though, down Nathan Mensah, rather, and as Keita gets fouled, he'll go right back to the free throw line. That's an interesting situation there. There was reports the last couple of days about a blood clot for that young man in his lungs. He's been out a while, and they're still winning without him, but we hope that he can come back. But that's not something you can rush a guy back from, right? I mean, it's
absolutely not.
It's got to be doctor approved.
But what is he, like 6'11"? Has an incredible wingspan. I think he's from Ghana, or he's from Ghana. He's from Ghana.
They haven't lost a step without him, and
Right.
Brian Dutcher's team, I think, will be fine. But, when you have a roster like this in a program like that,
Yep.
right, and this could be your best every year, you hope that they're at full strength for the entire run.
Well, they've adjusted. What they've done is they've put their four-man, who's a transfer from Vanderbilt, grad transfer, into the 5 spot. So they've found different ways.
Yanni Wetzel?
Yeah, Wetzel to be successful, and it's worked for them. So they got Wyoming next. They can tie both those 20-game win streaks in school history.
Staying with Boise State, 18 to go on the shot clock, 5:59 to go game clock. 7-0 run for Utah State here over the last 2:15. And their lead, they're knocking on a 20-point advantage for Craig Smith's team, who'll bus back to Logan tonight. And that will they'll probably get in about 3:30 in the morning. And a 4.5-hour bus ride. Alston, the leading scorer in the conference, and he's fouled.
Like to see some more of that from Boise State. When they get paint touches, usually pretty good things happen. And this young man, so athletic, so long. He took a hard hit, didn't he?
Yeah, he did.
But the fact that he's getting up there, finishing with his left hand, and doing it against a 7-footer, both those guys could be in the NBA in the coming years.
Yep, 4th on Keita. We were talking to Craig Smith, and he was telling us about mock drafts. He looks a lot at mock drafts, and he sees Alston in a number of them, but not Keita anymore because of that injury. It's cost him the first 9 games of the season, that knee injury. But, we think in a month or two he'll be right back in the discussion. He certainly, he reminds me a little of DeAndre Ayton a couple of years ago at Arizona. He's got that frame,
yeah,
right?
Does.
He's not as dominant, obviously, as DeAndre. Here's Merrill, catch and shoot 3 off the screen. It's just he's so good. 24 now for Merrill.
It's beautiful. The stroke is outstanding.
Alston, Bean stole it. Yeah.
All energy all the time. Justin Bean. The clock is on their side for Utah State. You can use a little bit of clock. It's way too early to stall, but you can use some clock and then last 10 seconds try to make a play to the basket.
Chance to go up 20, potentially 21. And this is a veteran right here. Knows how to take that time off the clock, right?
Yeah, he does. He's going to get a 3.
Yeah, Merrill for 3. A tough one. No, and they get the offensive rebound. But there's going to be an over-the-back call on Brock Miller.
That's what you can live with if you're a coach. Brock Miller goes over the back, but you want your players going after the offensive rebounds. Look at the scrappy defense, though, by Utah State. Justin Bean getting a piece of the basketball and Alston, then dives for the loose ball to give it to Brock Miller. That's what I'm talking about. Justin Bean, just a sophomore, exploded onto the scene. Nobody outside of their program had any idea Justin Bean would be a double-double guy in his sophomore year. You said it earlier,
a walk-on.
A former walk-on player.
Yeah. Got 27 steals now. 10 double-doubles for Bean. And he is 3 rebounds away from an 11th double-double. And I think the best stat on Justin Bean is leads the Mountain West Conference with 4 offensive rebounds a game.
You know how much of an advantage that is?
Yeah.
That's 8 to 12 more points that your team can score just off one player's offensive boards.
But second chance points tonight. Utah State has 10 of their 64. Alston with a chance now against Miller. Alston into another gear. He's fouled and will have to do it at the free throw line as Miller contacted Alston.
You see the way Alston, he's so quick and athletic, and he's able to get his shot off, but he's still very thin. And I think as he gets older and stronger and continues to bulk up, and he's done a great job of that so far. I mean, like we said, 40 pounds he's put on in the last 3 years. He'll be able to finish more of those plays. You see sometimes he takes a hit and he's not able to always absorb it. But in that case right there, you could see a year from now, a year more of bulking up, Alston is going to be able to get an and one on that Brock Miller foul.
Yep. Probably needs to get a little bit better defensively. But he's doing a good job sharing the ball. He's got a team-high 60 assists. And I think the best roster that Leon Rice will have in his stay at Boise State, and he's had some good players, right? James Webb and Chandler Hutchison, might be next year's with 5 transfers. Miller, and hold everything. Did Craig Smith call a timeout in that process?
How can you on a live ball?
coaches can do it now, but within the last 2 minutes.
Correct.
And they're going to put the last play is going to be under review here. So they're going to have a review.
So I don't understand why they stop play to make this happen.
All right, we'll take a break now. The officials will come over and tell us what they're looking at here. 4:12 to go in regulation. Utah State in command. ESPN's exclusive presentation of college basketball presented by 5 Hour Energy Shots. Energy on the go. Welcome back to Boise. A 16-point lead on the road tonight for Utah State. Boise State about to go 8-2 at home this year. Flagrant 1 was just assessed on Max Rice, the coach's kid in the midcourt. Watch the midcourt against Bean there, right to the throat.
Oh.
So Utah State, 2 shots in the ball. Must have been hard for the official to go over and tell Leon Rice that his son just got saddled with a flagrant 1.
Well, I think in those situations, you just treat him like any other player. Flagrant 1, defined as excessive in nature. It's unwarranted or too much, maybe unnecessary. Could have been avoided. And in that case, absolutely. You can't just armbar somebody as he's crossing half court full speed.
Utah State gets an opportunity to build on this lead. Tonight on Sports Center, after top-ranked boxing, Kenny Mayne and Zubin Mohanty will have UFC 246 post-fight reactions after the big Conor McGregor-Cowboy Cerrone fight, plus Lakers-Rockets post-game, reports from the Titans, Chiefs, Packers, and 49ers on the eve of the conference title games. Catch it all on Sports Center after top-ranked boxing on ESPN and the ESPN app. Yeah, Leon Rice's team got down 9-0. Again, like, here's a boxing analogy, right? It was punch, punch, and then Utah State really landed the knockout punch late in the first half, getting up 19.
Feeling violent tonight, are you, Steve?
So we're inside of 4 minutes to go. The Aggies about to get to 15-5 overall, 4-3 in the conference. Merrill wanted more to build on his 24-point night. Here's Rice. R.J. Williams has had an okay night. 8 points, 5 rebounds. Alston got fouled by Queta. That's the 5th on Queta. So he'll be disqualified tonight. Queta out with 12 points and 6 rebounds.
Well, I'm just impressed with the toughness of R.J. Williams. At 6'7", not being afraid to take it to the intimidating shot blocker and 7-footer Nimi Queta just goes right at him, looking for that highlight career dunk on top of a potential NBA future player.
Trying to poster him. So Queta leaves after 23 minutes on the floor. 4 for 4 shooting, 12 points, 6 rebounds, an assist, and a block shot. So good to see the 7-footer from Portugal rounding back into shape. Remember the knee injury this summer playing for the Portuguese national team cost him the first 9 games of the year.
Well, it was just nice to see him smiling on the bench again. Last time I saw him, he was frustrated on the bench when he fouled out. And I think you're starting to see what Craig Smith's squad will be probably for the rest of the season as long as they stay healthy. Yep. Same starting lineup for 4 games. They finally have some continuity. They've been coaching, quote-unquote, different teams throughout the course of the last month or so is how Craig Smith states it.
That's going to be Boise State basketball. They're down 16. They got a little life here with 3:35 to go.
Well, again, Queta out of the game. Look to attack. This is a small lineup inside for Utah State. Their biggest player on the floor, I think, is Justin Bean at 6'7".
Inbound to Williams.
Attack, attack, attack.
Here's Rice against Miller, left of the lane.
It's pretty good defense.
Dennis drives into traffic and a foul.
Well, Brito came over as that insurance policy as a secondary defender. His teammate got beat off the dribble. And Ray J. Dennis doing a good job turning the corner on Merrill, going baseline. Good hesitation and go.
3rd on Brito. This will be free throws 25 and 26 tonight for the Boise State Broncos. They've made 19 of 25. That's 76% for Leon Rice's team. And both of them knocked down there by Dennis, who started the first 3 games, or the last 3 games rather, at the point in place of the injured Marcus Dickinson. And a timeout called by Utah State. 3:27 to go here in regulation. Utah State 66, Boise State 52. Welcome back to Saturday Showcase presented by 5 Hour Energy. We're in Boise tonight. Utah State in command late. You're up to the minute Mountain West Conference standings. San Diego State 19-0, only unbeaten team in the nation. Ranked 7th, all those teams in front of them losing. So they could be in the top 5 come Monday. And UNLV, TJ Otzelberger's team, is surprisingly playing well.
Playing terrific. I mean, he is sharp. He is very detail-oriented. And he has a team. He's not playing the style of play I think that he wants to play, TJ Otzelberger at UNLV. But I think as time progresses, that program is going to continue getting better and better. And how about Colorado State winning their last couple games, going on a 3-point barrage last week, 19 3-pointers against New Mexico.
Well, I know we're getting into the election season, so we projected there that Utah State would be 4-3 if you were paying particular attention to those standings. And so that's still going to put them 3.5 games behind front-running San Diego State. And the Aztecs have already won at Logan.
Well, for being down 14 points, Boise State is in the best shape they can be in. Get that.
Yep, Dennis the 3. It's an 11-point game here with 2:46, so you better not take your foot off the pedal here, huh?
Well, they have the possession arrow. They have 3 timeouts left, and they get 2 free throws every time they're fouled.
And Miller lost it.
Look at this.
You know, you got to play a little clock there, don't you?
You do. I'd pull it out.
I mean, you just gave them a free possession here, and now Craig Smith's starting to chew on his nails. Right? Inside it goes, and a slam dunk by R.J. Williams, and all of a sudden, it's a 9-point game. Wow.
Oh.
And nearly a steal. Now they're just waiting to get fouled here. You don't want to foul Merrill.
Well, here's the clock that you're talking about.
Got to play out the possession
now, you do.
Wow,
here comes the ball screen.
Don't foul now. There was the screen. Miller for the knockout punch. No, and rebounded by Rice. Oh, my goodness.
Oh, give it back to Rice.
Dennis, and it's good! Oh! A 2-possession game. That's a 12-0 run over the last 2 minutes. Boise State right back into it.
Look at this. This is all Dennis setting up, gets the double team. Williams finishes strong. Then they get the ball back, and Ray J. Dennis, instead of getting the assist, gets the 3-point shot. And did you expect this?
Oh, my goodness. I'm thinking of, remember Kirk Gibson's home run for the Dodgers against the A's? What you notice is all the brake lights in the parking lot.
Yeah.
There are brake lights in the parking lot right now here at Extra Mile Arena.
Well, Leon Rice called that timeout, and now all of a sudden it's a different basketball game. And so he's getting his team together. He's just trying to refocus them, let them take a little breather because they've been playing full court the last couple of possessions. And he's explaining to them game situations and what they need to do in this situation. I think it's a good timeout by him, and now they're going to come out with a full head of steam, setting up in that defensive press again. Don't be surprised if they go for a trap. But Utah State, they get the basketball. They got to break the press, get the ball up the middle third of the floor, break the press, and then use some clock. But you have to still look to score at this point in time, but you can't take early shots that aren't high percentage shots.
Oh, Boise State trying to pull off the most improbable comeback that the Mountain West Conference has seen maybe since UNLV at San Diego State 15 years ago.
Oh, my. On the floor.
Merrill's got it. And
look at
steal
this.
by Rice! And a bucket! Oh, it's a 4-point game. This is unbelievable. Remember, Cada's fouled out. Sam Merrill saying, look, slow this thing up, right?
Now get the ball in his hands. He's the senior, the leader. But now you got to look to score.
A 14-0 run. A 4-point game. Merrill with 3 to go, and he's fouled.
Boise State just continuing to put on the pressure. Look at this. A tap from behind by Ray J. Dennis. I love how he gets on the floor. And just another deflection by Max Rice that leads to those 2 points. But I like how Utah State handled the press on this last possession by Boise State and get the ball in the hands of the Mountain West Player of the Year.
It was 66-48 not too long ago. Trying to come back from down 18. Merrill sticks 2 more. Still, it's a 2-possession game. 45 seconds to go. Dennis, big 3! Oh, you gotta be kidding me! Shot by Dennis.
Dennis absolutely fearless. This is 2 times where he could have passed the ball off but kept it for himself. Keep in mind, Ray J. Dennis, the starting point guard, who's only a freshman.
3 for 3, 11 points.
They're checking maybe his feet.
Oh, that's good from 3.
That's absolutely 3 points. No question there. And another timeout taken by Boise State. I like Leon Rice doing this. His team makes big plays. They score. They make runs. He's burning timeouts to calm his troops down, get them refocused, give them a little breather so they're re-energized coming back into that press. It's worked so far for them. They have 1 timeout remaining. Utah State now has 2. But like I said before, Utah State's going to face immense pressure here right now. Look out for the home run pass. Maybe Utah State can shake free for an easy layup or dunk, but get the ball up the middle center of the floor.
With 4:10 to go, it was 66-48 Utah State. It's now 68-65 timeout Utah State.
So that's the rule. If you have control of the basketball in the final couple minutes of the game, the head coach can call timeouts now during live ball timeouts.
And we had talked about that earlier, huh? Wow, trying to weather 2 fire alarms and a delay to the bus because of snow on the interstate. Utah State came out red hot. And then all of a sudden, in the final 4:10, Leon Rice's team woke up and it's a 1-possession game.
Now, keep in mind, Justinian Jessup, Derek Alston, not fouled out of the game, but yet not in the game. Why is that? Well, you would think, hey, your 2 top leading scorers, why aren't they playing? You have to ride the wave with the guys you have in. They're the guys that made the comeback here. I like how Coach Rice is keeping these guys in the game.
Boise State was down 18 3 minutes ago. They're within a possession. Bean has it, and Bean is fouled. Kejab was going for the steal. 2 shots on the other end here. 42 seconds left.
Well, Justin Bean's pretty athletic. It was a semi-dangerous pass because Boise State has been making so many deflections. But look at the 6'7" Bean. Go up and get it. Was there contact on it? Yeah, there was just a little bit of contact on there. Enough for them to call the foul on Kejab. Double bonus. That's 2 free throws.
All right, here's Bean.
Yeah, Coach Leon Rice, you think he's relaxed right now? A little smile on his face.
That was the 5th on Kejab. He fouls out with 9 points. And so Jessup comes back in.
Okay. And Kejab has been such a big part of this defensive turnaround for Boise State. And Jessup, who has struggled to shoot the basketball in this game, might have a really big one in him here down the stretch.
Oh, what a huge miss. Keeps it a 1-possession game.
And he's an 82% free throw shooter.
Made 1 of 2. Back to a 2-possession game with 42 seconds left. Both teams have one timeout left. Possession arrow to Boise State, and Dennis throws it down. It's a 2-point game.
You're Utah State. You have a timeout if you need it.
Merrill, and he got fouled. Oh, man, that was not going down.
Well, how about Ray J. Dennis, the freshman for Boise State? You think this is a coming out party? Back-to-back threes, and then the slam down the paint. And then a beautiful job of breaking the press. And Merrill, with an opportunity to score, gets fouled with the left hand.
Merrill so calmly hits the first. He's the top free throw shooter in the Mountain West Conference at 88%. Still a one-possession game. Knocked them both down without even touching the rim. Back to a 4-point game. At the 4:10 mark, it was 66-48.
That's a charge.
And an offensive foul on Dennis.
That's a good call.
Oh, he'd been the hero. Now it's a player control foul, so there's no free throws.
Well, let's see. Look at Ray J. Dennis. Bean's right in front. That's a great call. More importantly, that's outstanding defense by Justin Bean. You know Ray J. Dennis was going to try to take it to the basket the way he's been playing, and Bean read that all the way.
Now you play the foul game here and try and extend this game.
I think you looked at trap first. All right, it's going to be a tough angle. He can't run the baseline, Porter. He's got to stay put. Get the ball in bounds. If they do, trap. Now go trap. They're hesitant on it.
And that's out of bounds. Oh, my goodness, what a turnover. Utah State.
Keep in mind, it's still a two-possession game. And Boise's going to use their last timeout.
No field goals the last 5-14 for Utah State. And how about Dennis? Seldomly used in this game. He's only played 13 minutes. He's 4 for 4. He has 13 points.
He averages 3 points a game. He kind of helped catapult this whole thing. That three-pointer there, and the assist down in low. R.J. Williams finished strong. Then he could have passed it off to the wing, kept it for himself, another three. And then who could forget this exclamation point right here by Ray J. Dennis.
How many people went to bed at the 4:10 mark? Cada fouls out. It's 66-48. We're talking about the fact that Utah State's going to get to 15-5. Projected in the standings at 4-3. Boise State now has a chance with 17.9 to go. They got within 2 here a moment ago. Dickinson to inbound, gets it into Jessup. What if he makes a big shot? Oh, and he turns it over.
He got spooked a little bit, I think, on the trap, and I think he got stuck jumping and trying to pass. The infamous jump pass. Everything you try to teach your players not to do, but when you have two big guys coming to trap, sometimes you try to get that angle. Watch right here. Jessup gets the ball in the corner. 2 guys on him, and he tries to jump to try to get a pass, and Justin Bean continuing to make defensive plays, doesn't he? Took that player control foul, now gets the steal.
Bean stretches the lead back out to 5.
If I'm Boise State, I'm taking this ball out of the rim immediately and pushing the ball and looking to get a handoff three-point shot or take it to the basket.
Well, they can still cut the lead in half here with a quick 3. Dennis is going to take it, and Dennis is fouled in the act of shooting the 3.
Man,
wow,
player,
you go to the line with the clock stopped for 3. Abel Porter's third.
So Dennis elects to take the three-pointer. Yeah, that's a foul. Looked like you couldn't really see from there, but from the body is what the official's calling, not on the slap of the wrist.
So the 3 biggest free throws of the career here of Ray J. Dennis, a freshman from Illinois.
Make this a one-possession game.
Got them both. Or got 2 of the 3.
Okay.
Got 1 more to go.
If he makes this, they're going to have to inbound Utah State. Look for the trap immediately.
Gets all 3.
Go trap him. Pursue it. Pursue it.
And Jessup, the foul. Right in front of us on Porter. Comes with 8.5 to go.
And it was a little bit of a late call.
Yeah. The official was trying to get that whistle in his mouth to make the call.
So now you just have to depend on Abel Porter missing a pair of free throws. He's going to get 2 of them.
As a team, they're a 76% free throw shooting team. So they have the 3rd most makes in the nation coming in. And so they're going to look at this across the way.
So here's what Craig Smith is doing right now. He's calming his troops now, calming them down a little bit, trying to instill some confidence into them, get them to relax a little bit, got to make these free throws. But understand, on the defensive end of the floor, Boise State's coming at you.
Yeah.
They're going to drive, look to get to the free throw line, kick. And, Ray J. Dennis, we've seen it 3 times in the last maybe minute and a half of play. He's going to pull up from 3 at any given opportunity. You give him any space, that's what he's going to do.
Porter, a 73% free throw shooter. Across the way, they were just checking to make sure the time was accurate. It wasn't. They put 0.4 of a second back on there. And now they need Porter to miss them both here.
So with it being a 2-possession game, Boise State has to score in a hurry and then set up in their press immediately, get a steal, deflection, or a foul.
Got them both, and Utah State's going to call their final timeout here. Boise State's out of timeouts. They have the possession arrow, and they're down 5 with 8.9 to go. This has been a remarkable ending with 4:10 to go in regulation. Utah State was up 66-48, and Boise State got it within 2 in one of the most remarkable stretches we've seen in quite a while.
So, Boise State here down 5, okay? One way you can get good, clean 3-point shots off is have Dennis bring the ball up the floor in a hurry. Put 2 shooters, 1 on each wing, maybe a little bit closer to the corner. Dribble right at one of those shooters and do a dribble handoff. And oftentimes, that dribble handoff is a wide-open 3-point shot. The defense doesn't go over the top of that dribble handoff. They stay behind and they try to contest. Or maybe the defense switches. But in doing so, you might get a clean look-off. It's a little bit less predictable than just dribbling up the way Dennis has lately and taking the 3-point shot. Or what Leon Rice could be telling his guys is, look, oftentimes in cases like this, the opposing team's not going to foul. Just drive straight into the paint, get an easy layup, and then boom, you're down 3 and set up your press, trap. And then I think you have to continue to pursue that trap. And if all else fails, you foul, put them at the line, and hope that they don't make one.
Possession arrow again, pointing toward Boise State. Broncos will have the basketball down 5. They were within 2 here in the final minute. A lot of folks left Extra Mile Arena are no doubt listening to it on the radio as they exit. Here's Dennis trying for another 3, and he hit it! Rattles it home with 3.6 to go. A steal by Jessup! Count it! Oh! We're tied at 75! He did make a play. 1.1 to go. They're going to go to the monitor and look at it.
Here's the 3-point shot. And then the steal and the inbounds. I think what they're trying to figure out is, it's a beautiful shot by Dennis. Man, he's courageous. But did he step out of bounds? Right there, did he step out of bounds? Did the ball touch out of bounds? Because if it did, they're going to wave off this 2-point shot. There's going to be a lot of booing fans here in the arena.
75-75. There was no foul, so we might be headed to overtime. Let's see.
This is what they're looking at. Watch the basketball. I think that's just inside the line.
I do too.
I can understand why Utah State's players thought it went out of bounds, but from this angle, it looks like it's just in bounds. I think that basket's good.
Yep. I mean, the shadow was out of bounds on the ball, but the ball's got to be out. They're going to put 0.8 of a second back out, so 1.9 to go, tied at 75.
Now, this is interesting because Boise State's not pressing full court now.
Yep.
Well, actually, Utah State's changed their approach. They put all 4 offensive players not inbounding on the opposite end of the floor. Somebody's going to come flying up. Look for Utah State to get a quick 3-point shot off one pass.
Brito throws it in, stolen by Jessup for the win! Oh, we go to overtime.
This is incredible.
I've never seen anything like this.
What a comeback by Boise State.
Now you just got to let the fans back in. I know there's a no re-entry policy, but let's get everyone in the Treasure Valley back in. It was 66-48 with 4:10 to go. It's tied going to overtime. Boise State scores 5 points in the final seconds. They score 5 in the last 2 seconds of this game, last 4 seconds of this game, to force overtime.
This is Jessup Steele on the last possession, and they practice half-court shots in every shoot-around and almost had it for the win. But now it comes down to the 5 players that are playing in this overtime period. Do they have the stamina to finish in this contest?
Richie, it was 75-70 with 7 seconds to go. The 3 by Dennis with 4 seconds left, and then Jessup the steal on the inbound. Keeps it inbounds, gets the basket. He didn't get fouled there. Might be over, and Boise State might have won.
Well, Dennis hit the 3-point shot. Now it's a 2-point game. And then we get the steal from Jessup, who struggled to shoot in tonight's game. But, you know, he makes the biggest play when it counted.
Let me ask you this. Do you think Stella's at home watching right now? That's Leon Rice's dog that was here at practice today. She comes to work with him every day. She was so excited to see him today at our shoot-around. He said she can't make it tonight, but she'll watch on the tube. It has to be past Stella's bedtime, right? It's 10:20.
Oh, you know she's waiting for Big Daddy Leon to get home. You know it. He's getting home late tonight. Now, here's the thing. Overtime, each team gets an additional timeout. They were all out of timeout, so it's 1 timeout apiece. Boise State had the possession arrow there at the end of the half in regulation, but now we're going to tip it up, and that possession arrow is going to get reset.
So Boise State rallies from down 18 with 4:10 to play in regulation to force an overtime. And Nemish Keita has fouled out. We didn't think it was a big deal when he fouled out at the time. After 23 minutes, 12 points. Merrill has 28. 19 for Ray J. Dennis. He did make the start today, but most of those points have to be here in the second half, I would think.
Well, he's 4 of 4 from 3, and he made 3 down the stretch.
Dennis did not score a point in the first half. He has 19 second-half points,
well,
and he's a freshman.
Yeah.
Jessup's got to keep that in. Oh, they're going to say he stepped in the backcourt for a backcourt violation.
This happens often when the team that makes so many plays and plays a particular way to play catch-up the way Boise State did. Will they continue to play that way? Because if you now start playing more conservative, I don't know if momentum favors you. I'm not saying they were in that possession. That was a turnover, but let's see how they go out here. Now, they are making a substitution here. Max Rice is going out of the game, and the leading scorer, Derek Alston for Boise State, comes back in.
They did most of that damage with Alston on the bench and guys like Rice and Dennis playing a key part.
You just have to ride the wave until it's over.
I've never seen anything like this in my life. And I was there that day that UNLV pulled off that huge comeback against San Diego State. Merrill forced it. Williams has the rebound. I think that was like a 10-point deficit that UNLV erased in the final 19 seconds in San Diego. But that's got to be 15 years ago. Here's Alston. Will he take over in overtime? Dennis drives in, and another offensive foul on Dennis. Remember, he had one late toward the end of regulation.
Well, you see Dennis here, a little shake and bake on Porter, and another player control foul. And people in the stands seeing almost the same replay we are. They don't like it. But a lot of times that's just freshman stuff, you know, body control.
One minute has gone by here in this overtime. Bean, kick out. Porter open three, no good. And Jessup secures the board. Oh, this would be catastrophic for Utah State. And all the other teams that thought they beat a quad one team earlier in the year. Great pass to Jessup. Oh, Williams with the assist. Count it. They're not going to want this game to end.
Well, they're into it right now. Williams with the face up and the great move off the ball. Wow, look at Jessup right down the paint, and that's a rare defensive breakdown by Utah State. Keep in mind, Steve, when Nimi Keita fouled out of this game, there was about 3.5 minutes, 3:37 to be exact. They were up 66-48. They were up by 18 points with 3:37 in the game, and now they're down 3 in overtime.
Boise State's first lead of the game. Leon Rice right now, if he wins this thing, he's going to call a charter aircraft company and get his boys to Fresno for the next game by 3 a.m. And Alston a little aggressive on Bean there. And a foul on Alston.
Well, trying to post up at the high post, Bean, mid-post area, and Alston just a little bit too aggressive trying to get a hand on the basketball. Keep your cool if you're Boise State. Things are going well for you. Mentally, we talked about it. They were up by 18 with about 3.5 to go. I think Utah State was in the mode of just don't screw up, and they made mistake after mistake, and more so, Boise State also made play after play. Utah State's got to change their mentality, get back to that attacking basketball mentality, offensive.
Bean made 1 of 2. 78-76 Boise State here in overtime. Broncos' one and only lead of the game. They got down 9-0 to start the game. They were down 19 in the first half. And Alston scores it. Utah State looks tired. They've taken Merrill out of it. Merrill's logged a lot of minutes. 40 plus. He hasn't come off the floor. Porter penetration and draws contact late in the shot clock.
I think Utah State's doing the right thing. They are consistently getting into the lane to try to make plays. But get this, Steve. The last field goal that Utah State made in this contest was at 5 minutes and 32 seconds left in the second half. They've gone almost 8 minutes without making a field goal.
That is an epic drought, and Porter sticks the first one.
Now the good news for them is they've been getting fouled quite a bit. But an outside shot, a three-pointer, whatever it may be, would be huge for Utah State's psyche and confidence right now.
Utah State has made 22 of 29 at the free throw line. They're now hunting Boise State after the remarkable comeback by the Broncos.
Same play they ran last possession.
Alston against Miller. The double team comes, and Alston muscles it up for the bucket. Biggest lead of the night for Boise State. Merrill a three, missed it. And on the offensive glass, Bean had it blocked, and then he's fouled.
Love the hustle by Justin Bean down inside. That's what he does. But the last two possessions for Boise State was the same diagonal back screen where they get Alston down inside the paint. They screen on the opposite elbow, and he ends up on the ball side elbow. And there's been double teams down inside, and he's using his strength and athleticism and his length to finish.
That's a tired shot right there.
Keep in mind, both these teams still have a timeout left, but they're going to want to save that down the stretch for when they absolutely have to have it. Neither team wants to do a whole lot of substitutions. Again, same thing that Leon Rice did. Just ride that wave. You know, if it's working, it's clicking, keep with that lineup in the game.
Bean has a double-double, 18 points, 10 rebounds for his 11th double-double of the season, but he's coming up on playing 40 minutes in this game. Boise State by 3 after they were down 18 at the 4:10 mark. And Alston backing in on Bean. That's just where you dig down deep in that possession to play a little defense. Great defensive effort there by Bean. He's probably got nothing left in the tank.
There you go.
Porter, and a travel on Porter.
Abel Porter catches the ball top of the key, maybe a little too excited, absolutely shuffled his feet. Good call by the official. You're Utah State. You got to play lockdown defense right now because you don't want this to become a 2-possession game.
Wild one tonight in the Treasure Valley. Boise State, 5 points in the final 7 seconds to force the overtime. Dennis against Porter, 10 to shoot, coming up on a minute to go in the overtime. Alston to Jessup for a big 3, and he hit it! And a blocking foul on Alston on the other end. It's a 6-point lead for Boise State.
I tell you what, Justinian Jessup had struggled almost the entire game until he came in at the end of regulation helping force overtime. It's catch and shoot time for the best shooter in school history for Jessup. Look at this pass from the 2 leading scorers, Alston to Jessup. And then on the other end, Sam Merrill finds his way back to the free throw line.
Justinian Jessup, as Alston fouls out, was 3 for 10 to start the game with 7 points. He's now got 15. Alston fouls out with 19 points. Mountain West Conference leading scorer. They did a lot of that comeback damage with him on the bench, and then he took over here in the overtime. Merrill, been perfect, 7 for 7 at the free throw line.
Well, here's that 5th foul by Alston, the top right of your screen. Looked like he was trying to take a charge. They called a block. Now that's 2 great scorers for Boise State, Alston and Kejab, that are now out of the contest. This is why you have depth. This is why you have a bench. They're going to have to do it with some reserves.
Merrill looks like he has worked a 12-hour day at a construction site. That's how these guys are gutting it out.
I mean, he's a tough kid.
He'll be asleep before that bus ride home, before the bus even gets on the turnpike.
We've completely flipped the script now. Now it's Utah State trying to play catch-up down the stretch. They've got to apply full-court pressure, and here's the trap.
And Merrill fouls Dickinson as he tried to get out of that trap. Comes with 41.9 to go, and 2 shots will come here for the senior from Norman, Oklahoma.
It's a good free throw shooter, right about 83%. But advantage for Utah State in the sense that Boise State is very small right now. Very small. And R.J. Williams at 6'7" is playing their big man spot right now. They have Alfonso Anderson in there for Utah State, who's strong and physical. Justin Bean, 6'7", so really both lineups are pretty small. And if I'm Utah State, I'm attacking the paint because I know I can get to the free throw line.
You know, since we're only 18 days into the new decade, I'm comfortable to say this might be the comeback of the decade.
I like where you're going there.
Oh, Bean almost got called for a backcourt violation. 30 seconds to go. They need this 3 out of the hands of Anderson. He missed it, and Williams has it. And Porter with a foul. Fans got their money's worth in some tonight, huh, partner?
Sure did.
Those who stuck around, by the way?
I still can't get over the 18-point deficit they had with about 3.5 to go. And they gutted this out, and that says a lot about Leon Rice's squad. And I tell you, he's had that look and demeanor throughout most of the entire game. When things were going bad, he kept calm and cool. And I've always said this, when coaches do that, players feed off it.
How about this? Ray J. Dennis had all 19 of his points in the last 3:27. He had a total of 18 points in his last 7 games. I mean, that's remarkable. And there's that youngster, just a freshman from Oswego, Illinois. I don't know what else to say, partner.
Yeah, I'm speechless. I'm speechless over here. Let the crowd do the talking for us. You're talking about Ray J. Dennis, the freshman. You know how hard it is to adjust to Division I basketball as a true freshman coming out of high school, and then to do it in the most difficult position in the game, the point guard. And he has been a hero in tonight's game. It is his coming out party. Boise loves him some Ray J. Dennis.
If they win by 7, that's a 25-point turnaround in the last 4 minutes of regulation and the 5-minute overtime. Bean breaks the press. Miller rises up for the corner 3. It's short. Rebounded by Porter, and he gets the offensive board and the putback, and a quick timeout here.
Great setup play by Coach Craig Smith of Utah State. This is called the old sucker play. Inbounding the ball, throw somebody else out of bounds. It completely messes up the defense. And look at this cross-court pass and then another cross-court pass. Brock Miller had a chance. He hesitated. I wish he wouldn't have hesitated. I think he would have knocked it down. But fortunately for the Aggies, they got the offensive board, and they've cut this to 5. This is just like it was. It's a mirror image of the end of regulation, except now it's Utah State down by a couple buckets, and they're going to have to pressure a full court. Same thing I said at the end of regulation. Utah State needs to do everything they can to deny the basketball, try to get a deflection or a steal, try to deny anything going back to the middle of the floor. Boise State is going to try to get the ball in the middle third of the floor. That's how you break a press. Get it there and cross half court. They're going to have to foul if Boise State can shake free.
Both teams are out of timeouts. The possession arrow is pointing toward Utah State. 13.8 to go, but Boise State has the basketball. Dennis comes back. Remember, Dennis, 19 points in the final 3:23, and he got it stolen away. Ball's loose. Porter goes on the deck for it. And
there's no timeouts.
There's no timeouts left. It's still loose. Dennis ahead. And comeback of the year in college basketball. Ray J. Dennis with all 19 of his points in the final 3:27. Boise State rallies from down 18 with 4:10 to go to stun Utah State in overtime, and they're 9-1 at home.
And Justin Bean tried to call a timeout. The official didn't see it. That would have been a technical, but I think Boise State liked this exclamation.
Now that didn't count. It came after, but it doesn't matter.
That's an exclamation point. They're okay with that not counting. Oh my goodness.
The freshman from Oswego, Illinois. And now can Leon Rice finally smile? Holy moly. All 19 of those points. Not a single missed shot, whether it's at the line or from the field in the final 3:27. An 18-point comeback for Boise State at home in the final 4:10. I've never seen anything like it, partner.
And a heart-wrenching loss for Utah State, who had that game absolutely in the bag. And I thought they were climbing the ladder of the Mountain West standings. Instead, it's Boise State who evens up at 4-4 in conference play. And look, there's that smile you're talking about from Coach Leon Rice.
And the Aggies, picked to win this conference, are now 3-4 here in mid-January. And they drop even lower than 6th place. They've got a long bus ride home to Logan. That's going to do it for our terrific crew who hung with us, the viewers, and anyone who stayed here inside Extra Mile Arena. They went the extra mile tonight at Boise State. For our great crew, my broadcasting partner, Richie Schuler, I'm Steve Quiss. The comeback of the year in college hoops, even the decade, since we're only about, 18 days in. Get a little latitude there with that remark. Never seen anything like it. Boise State wins 88-83. Good night from Boise.